Hello, this is Wicked Shrapnel, and in this video I would like to talk about genetic memory. And this topic came up when I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast. I forget which actual episode it was.
I just fell down my stairs.
I think it was one of the ones recently that came out like the past week. But he was talking about some person that he knows that has arachnophobia, like severe arachnophobia. You just talk about spiders and she gets terrified, and she's had no experiences in her life, like terrifying experiences with spiders, to give her this like irrational fear. And he said that he kind of thought that possibly, based on no scientific evidence, that maybe there's some sort of genetic memory that is passed down from our ancestors, and maybe someone in her family tree had some horrific experience with spiders, and somehow that was encoded into her, great-great-grandfather's DNA and was somehow passed on to her, to where she is now afraid of spiders just to keep her from ever having this sort of experience that one of her ancestors had. And it seems really far out, but there are things that we're able to do that no one really ever taught us, or even like emotions and things like that. How is that, I don't know, instilled into our minds without ever anyone teaching us that? And you know that animal instincts. No cats go to a cat school to learn how to like hunt a mouse. Like there's instincts built into animals, and I think that there's a certain amount of instincts built into us, but also our personalities are different too, based on, I think, our family tree and people in our lives. And I just don't know how much of the experiences of the world you can have a different personality just from your experiences, but is any of that passed down to your ancestors as well? And just kind of throwing around the idea and started thinking about it. And there's also certain things that I can't quite explain. I don't understand. I don't think that is really understood in science. Like, all right, when a baby's born, they could just be like a few months old, and you can make faces at them and just be like, peekaboo, and the baby be like, ha ha, and they're laughing. But how do they know that that is funny? No one really taught them what is funny. I mean, there's certain jokes that you have to understand and know, but like physical comedy is almost like naturally intuitive to people. So where does that come from? How do babies learn what is funny? Why is that like second nature to a baby? And I'm wondering how much is imprinted into our DNA that is just genetic memory. And also, like, a baby sees a tit in front of his face, he's just going to be like, nom, nom, all up on the titty. He knows that there's some milk in that titty, and no one ever took him to titty sucking school, teaching him that this is a titty, and you need to suck on it to get milk out of it, and then that's going to be your food. He's just like, second nature, titty in my mouth equals food in my face. So I'm just wondering how many like phobias you're almost naturally afraid of heights. At least most people are, even though you've never had any experience with like falling or seeing someone fall to their death. You might not have, but if you get into heights, like I can remember being a young kid, maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I didn't want to go up on the slide, to go down the slide, and my mom was like forcing me to go up on the slide. It's like, you get up there, it's fun. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, I was just innately afraid of getting into a high place, even though I probably didn't completely understand that if you fell that you could possibly die. And it's not like it was a huge slide. It might have been like 10 feet high. But no one taught me to be afraid of going to high places, but I was already afraid to go up to a high place. It's very odd, and I don't know what can explain it. And there's some kids that aren't afraid at all, and they have no fear of heights or no fear of other things that you should be afraid of. Like any phobia that you could think of, like that is kind of irrational to most people. Even if they didn't have a traumatic experience with whatever it is, afraid of heights, afraid of spiders, afraid of snakes, there's a list of thousands of different phobias that people are afraid of, that they might not have had any traumatic experience with those things in their lives, but they're just afraid of them for what seems like no reason. But it could have been that someone in their past had a bad experience with like a snake or a spider or scorpions or many of the other things that people are afraid of, or someone had a near-death experience with falling, and that fear actually got imprinted somehow into their DNA and passed down to their ancestors, so that their ancestors didn't have to go through the same experience that they did. They were just naturally born afraid of that thing, which protects them. And I don't know if that's just totally off the wall crazy, but it kind of made sense to me when I heard it. And just wonder what you guys think. So it could also just be explained by random genetic mutations that make someone afraid of something for no reason at all, and then just those genes that made people afraid carried on because they were able to survive longer because they avoided those things. I don't know. But I just thought I'd run it by you guys, and hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Talk to you later. Take it easy.
Use me, Guardian.